Take a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Rich Brown, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys? Are you there?
Here.
We're here.
Okay. I didn't know if my mic was off before. I'm going to try to get Jackie some amendment numbers. She was going to do a quick amendment, and I know we've got some construction stuff that is moved around a little bit, so I'm going to try to get some of that to her this week. If I don't, I'll wait for the next amendment, but it'd be nice to get stuff caught up before budget time. So try to get you that, Jackie, this week yet. You said by Friday? Okay. The last I knew too, just so you guys are aware and so anybody listening is aware, the wind tower people are going to try to do a crane crossing over Vine sometime later this week. And that's going to require the road be shut down for about 4 hours or so. They've got to put an aggregate blister over the hard surface and then mat it so they can cross over to try to protect the pavement. I told them good luck, but we'll see how that goes. But I said they haven't given me a firm time yet or a day, but just so you know, and then Dan too, they'll be contacting emergency responders and sheriff's department, let them know the road will be closed for a while, and they'll try to probably put up just some small detour signs, even though it's not necessarily required for a less than 24-hour closure, but also notify the landowners that live on that road too that it'll be closed, just so everybody's aware. Then put signage and flaggers up at each intersection so they can keep traffic to a minimum. So that'll be taking place this week unless things have changed, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. And then the gas line at the shop in Kensit's been moved, so we've let the contractor know about adding on there. So I don't know when he plans on coming in yet, but that's ready to proceed whenever the contractor is. Then Jackie, I think we won't, maybe by next week we'll have payroll eligibility forms for our snow part-timers for next week. I know they may start this week, but we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of trying to figure out how we want to start part-timers and snow removal with the pandemic and everything else, how we want to handle that. But for now, we'll just see how things go. So.
Are there going to be any new ones?
No, they're all either, well, past employees or past ones that have worked. So there's nobody new that I'm aware of. That's all I've got for you this morning. If you guys have questions.
How's everything been going with the employees? Have they been following the procedures, I hope?
As best as I can tell, I haven't heard anybody say anything different. When I've been around, the minimal times I've been around, I know like going to Kensit when Tom's there alone, he's not wearing a mask because he's by himself. So no sense in wearing one when you're in a shop by yourself. I wear one when I go in. So I haven't noticed anything. I haven't noticed people not doing it, and nobody's told me anything different, but we'll stay on them if they're not.
Yeah, like I say, we don't need that crew going down right now with snow coming in.
And I did send a memo out last week on two things. One was cell phone usage, and one was the pandemic and that temporary policy you guys put out, or resolution for that, and how it didn't necessarily apply to us, but the same things still are in effect from March. Wear your mask, stay 6 feet apart, and things like that. So they're aware of it. And right now we're using, I told them if they do have sick time, or, if they are symptomatic, if they do get tested, I mean, at least the test, if they do test and they test positive, then I told them to record those hours of sick as COVID related, so we know. That way, if something does happen, we can always credit back. I'm not going to give everybody if they think they've got COVID and don't get checked, I'm not giving them, they got to take their sick time, and that's how we're going to track it. So that's the best thing I could come up with our department is we'll document COVID sick if they get a test and they test positive.
Yeah, sounds good. Anything for Rich?
Not today.
All right, I'll stick around.
Alrighty, thanks. Any drainage?
Nope.
No.
I do have one special claim for Heartland asphalt.
Motion to approve the special claims.
Alright, motion to approve special claim. I'll second that motion. Other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carry. Any reports?
Nope,
Payroll eligibility,
nope,
liquor license,
nope.
manure management plan. Nothing's changed really.
I make a motion to acknowledge your management plan for.
All right, there's a motion to acknowledge manure management plan for Dwayne Christensen, and I will second that motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry.
Nothing to sign.
That's right.
You're off the hook on that one.
All right, fiscal year 1920 annual urban renewal report.
Yeah, I got this done, but for some reason it wouldn't print out on a PDF for me, so it's not all nice and pretty, but that's the gist of the TIF money and where it went this year and all that good stuff. And I emailed it to you too
Yeah,
this morning.
so
It's just something we have to do every year, turn it into the state.
show what we're using, where we're using
Yeah.
it, basically.
Yeah, then you copy. Would that be okay?
When I get the
When you
PDF,
get
I'll
PDF.
share it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's a lot easier to follow.
A lot. Yeah, this is just makes it tricky.
Make
Uh,
a motion to approve the 1920 annual urban renewal report.
All right, there's a motion, and I will second that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion will carry. Sign anywhere, or,
No,
wait, what do you do? Take
The
together
report.
the PDF version.
Report.
DocuSign.
So it was requested just in case, because of all the COVID stuff going on, that we be able to sign documents electronically. DocuSign is probably the best one out there. The Adobe does some of that stuff, but DocuSign is the most, I think, user friendly. And right now that's about $25 per user. Per user. So
So like
Month or
per
per year?
office.
Per month?
yeah, it's not cheap. So, you know, Jackie, if she would do it for you guys, you know, all the documents, she would be one user. So she would create those documents, then you would be able to sign those documents. So it's not like you would have to use it, you would have to.
Right.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yeah. It's just the person being the creator of the document.
Okay, okay. Let's see, yeah, it's something that, like,
Kind of
every signature was considered a user.
No.
Well, holy cow.
Yeah.
They're getting rich, aren't they?
That'll be like per office.
Yeah,
I suppose, right?
yeah, that's,
but as long as you guys are around,
right,
or
Right.
we can email you or something.
yeah.
I didn't have a clue what the cost was.
Yep.
I mean,
So
I
that's-
know I've used it. It works well with what I use it for, but
The big thing would be it'd just be a little bit of a strain on the offices because then they would have to scan everything, create the packets. It's not a bad process, and there's a free trial involved with that. You can go for it. But you know, if something does break out here, we can generate that pretty quickly, I think. So, but that's the kind of money.
Even at that, isn't there a way, I think I've done this before, like in Google Documents somehow, it was sent to me, and I have a touch screen, I can actually apply my signature to that.
Mhm.
That worked the same, kind of, guess, wouldn't
Well,
it? Yes or no?
so
There you go.
the DocuSign is more of a certified approach to signing a document. There's, you know, in this day and age, there's not called wet sign and dry sign. You know, so wet sign is actually signing with a pen. Dry sign would be signing electronically. So you could do the Google route, or you could, you know, draw your signature, but it's not a certified kind of thing. With DocuSign, there's, you know, it's actually, you know, recorded as such with the time and date, and then you get a copy, and the person that generated gets a copy. So it's a little bit more legal, I think, if you go that direction.
I know there's some stuff we just have no choice. We have to sign it. Correct. I mean,
Well, especially if anything's notarized.
right.
We
Yes.
have to be there,
That-
unless that all could change
I don't-
too, I don't know. If they'll switch gears on that or not.
It kind of depends. I know insurance, I had some life insurance stuff that I had to sign that I had to wet sign.
Right.
But then I think, we did some farm ground deals and
It's just all my loans or we DocuSign those most of the time. We might do the paperwork, and then we'll send it to me and we just sign them, but, yeah.
I still signed all that stuff this last year.
we didn't, I haven't done much, except for life insurance. I haven't done anything really in person.
Okay. Well, this was all, yeah, I'm doing some of that. I just started thinking about basically working more shut down, and yet you could still, I didn't realize there had to be a wet sign, dry sign.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just, as far as
It's just something
but if it's
Just
something that
keep it-
starts to become an issue, it probably doesn't take much to fire up and do it. So I guess we'll just hold off for now.
The only problem that I found is kind of like when we started Zoom up, the demand was so high that trying to get customer service or anything else on that, it was not impossible. So, I imagine, I think, we could try to, they're going to
It's
be
been
busy,
around for a
but
while, so if there's Zooms, I'm just gonna fire it up. March and
in a big hurry.
big hurry,
Yeah.
so.
So I think we can generate it pretty quick and get it going.
And there's other safety precautions we have to still get documents signed, but,
Sure.
So.
No, I think it's if things go south on us, I think it's a good alternative, and $25 a month that's pretty.
Yeah, it's not like a yearly or, you can do by the month commitment type of deal, so if things did also back the other direction, then you could quit after a couple months if you needed to, so.
Kind of like the no wait. Jake was using the no wait there in the treasurer's office for his appointments. They're not using it now, but I've still kept it on.
Okay.
It's about $29 a month right now, but I've just kept our subscription active just in case we do have to lock it down.
Yeah.
I thought he did lock.
Hmm?
I thought he did lock again.
But they're handling them. They don't have the volume they did, I guess, so they're handling them right now. But if the volume goes back up, then I think we're going to switch back again. But that, I don't know if Jake's on. Nope.
Yeah. Well, like I say, we'll just, if we need to get to that point, we have no choice and we'll do it. But for now, I think we'll just wait out then. So thanks for looking into that and seeing what it does.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Not wrong.
Is Ryan on here?
Not yet. It's at 9, so it might be.
Might not jump on until about that.
Okay.
Keep going.
Elevator maintenance.
Yeah.
Is that what you sent us an email?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people are in that thing? I don't know if you can justify it or not, but Otis
that-
had offered that air purifier or whatever thing for $3,500 per elevator. Well, and then I don't know what it costs to keep it going or whatever.
Well, I'm sure
That doesn't eliminate the wipe down or anything, if it was, does it or does it?
I have no idea.
It'd
It'd just be for
that's the email I
airborne
got.
stuff.
Airborne stuff.
It still doesn't,
So,
you still gotta go wipe the
So if
buttons
we were
down.
using a courthouse, technically, you still gotta go and wipe down between each person.
It's not gonna stop that.
Not the tactile stuff.
No. It's just if you had a busy elevator, that was used constantly with all people every day, that'd probably be a good idea to help eliminate half of it.
Right.
You could grab half that airborne stuff. You'd still have to wipe it down. So I don't see
I don't
With
know
us-
if that happens or not. So.
with as little use as ours gets, I wouldn't see a need for it. As long as it does get wiped down a couple times a day, it would probably be all right. But,
I imagine. I'm not sure if it does or not.
yeah. So yeah, that's my thought anyways.
I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah,
No,
no,
appreciate it. It's like I said, if it was busy, I would
That's what I was thinking too.
maybe look into it a little harder.
Yeah, I thought that was the elevator thing. Too many elevator things going on. That email I sent out that came in on the website about.
Oh,
that elevator.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm positive
Other-
I've talked to this guy before.
Okay.
In Harvest,
Isn't that silly?
he reached out to me.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Did-
that just come in on the general county.
Just
So
recently.
we have a contact us form.
Yep.
And that came in on that, so.
They
it's-
don't even know where they're supposed to be going.
Well, I swear he's the guy that, maybe that's the way I did it before. Maybe this is the second time he's reached out. And I can't, same name or different person, but I sent that one to the city. I said, go to the city. Or I
City
said, go down and
limits.
talk to Villafeld first. I said,
Mhm.
Mhm.
if you don't get what you want, then go talk to the city.
Right, right.
So, yeah, because I said, we don't have markers.
No, no,
So,
no.
Sorry about that.
no, that's fine. I answered it again.
No changes on the vacation of the road yet to you guys?
Not that I'm-
No, Judy stopped in before, and
She-
just, she's gonna contact Jeff again, and
Okay.
nothing's been heard of or from.
I don't think Melissa's on there.
Don't see her.
She did send me a message, said, that venture school deal decided on last week or whatever was, one of the participants, maybe in placement or whatever, was applying for the revolving loan fund. So I think it might be the Dave's service station, people that are taking that over.
Yeah, younger.
I think them, they're looking into the revolving loan fund to help get started, get rolling on that, so. Said she'd be working on that with them, so. And Jason did call me, I don't think he's on either, is he?
Same.
Before I came in, and haven't heard anything back from Boyd on the deeds or anything yet, so I'm gonna send an email out to him, find out what's going on. See, try to get this done, because I know Melissa has been taking calls on interest in the thing, but it's hard to see how interested they are if they don't know the price of the lots yet,
Right.
so we need to get this thing closed up and done. So I'll send an email out to Jeff and Rich with Boyd Gaming and find out where we're at or what's going on and try to get that thing done, so.
Okay.
And planning and zoning with the holiday last week, I didn't hear anything out of Matt. So I'll try to touch base with him again this week. See where we're at, because he was just gonna check on a few more things, make sure it's what he wanted to do, and hopefully that'll work out.
Good.
Department head.
I got hired a new employee, and everything started January 4th.
Okay.
Joe still plans on retiring at the end of the year, but she's gonna help train for 3 months, so.
Good.
And then with Judy and I, we were flipping in and out of the office. Our busy time now is the next 2-3 months of getting assessment notices, so what we're sort of doing is we're all gonna come in, but sort of the honor system, you know, if you went to a wedding or if you went somewhere that was outside of the norm of just your normal group, then we'll try to work somebody at home and sort of do it the honor system way. I think that's the best for our department right now.
Okay. Well, sounds good. You know, any other department heads out there in the Zoom world got anything?
I guess I'm just keeping one office again for a while, so.
All right, that's probably a good idea. Keep these guys healthy on this end. All right. Supervisor Weekly.
I had nothing last week.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, I got a couple weeks off, so
Good.
workforce starts up again. So.
I had North Iowa Regional Housing on Tuesday. Kind of normal stuff there. They're still having a problem. They got quite a few vacant houses.
Really?
Yeah. Or apartments or whatever, and so I'm gonna.
They're all low income stuff?
Yeah, there's some HUD assistance.
Yeah.
And there's some income guidelines to it.
Right.
But this is the most that they've seen empty quite some time. So they don't know why. It's really weird. They can't figure out why nobody's applying or
Apparently everybody's doing okay.
319.
move in there, live there. So,
Okay.
but anyways, so they're trying to get something figured out that way, and I think they kind of got everything else under control. I know they're doing there's a bunch of changes with the feds, the HUD money and that, but the money's still coming, but they're just their guidelines and a lot of stuff. A lot of the COVID stuff has been a battle with them, but otherwise going well. And then I also had mental health, and sounds like we'll probably be doing a name change. Care Connections of Northern Iowa is what everyone is in kind of a agreement on.
Okay.
And then they would update like the webpage and all advertising stuff. Next year, we'd start going with that just because the Northwest kind of scared people in this direction. And, we're getting Hancock's probably going to be joining with us as well. And, so I think it'd just be a little easier. The services are here.
Right.
But just people have a hard time believing they're here when you put Northwest Iowa, because then they're thinking Spencer's, Sioux City, whatever, that direction. So,
So hopefully when they do that, or if you make that name change, then they'll do a little advertising, in the
yeah.
local paper and through public health.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. And they're just, because they're getting to that point is with the CARES Act funding that's come through, we did set aside some for advertising.
Good.
But they just didn't want to start advertising yet, because if the name change was going to happen, a few things, and they just wanted to do that. So you weren't advertising both, basically. So, but other than that, it's going really good. Pretty good group of people, actually. Like say, Hancock is looking to join in because they don't have much of a choice. They have to go either with us or Central Iowa, because now they're landlocked out of CSS.
Yep.
So once we get some numbers and other stuff figured out on how they're going to end up by coming over, then we'll make that decision whether to accept them or not. Because if we don't accept them, the state could push them at us. But it's just, we want to make sure the monies
Works.
are right, because right now it looks like they're spending most of theirs.
And
We don't want them to come in. We don't want to come into the region, costing the region money.
Right.
They should be hopefully able to maintain, but
Well, and they should get something out of the region too.
yeah, and they're trying to get that number figured out on what's coming out of CSS with them to bring over too. So
Did we get our money out of CSS?
I gotta get the gap report to them.
Okay.
Okay, I know I thought they had till like the end of the year and it had to be done, right?
Right. That's what I
Even though we
understood.
were done in July, they still had till the end of the year to pay.
Yeah.
End of the calendar year to pay it, but.
Okay.
I'll wrap that up this week.
No, that's okay. I was just curious. I
Right.
hadn't seen it. So I just...
We don't want Kenny coming back. Because that would upset him if he
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
get that money.
I hope we get something.
Yep, yep, so. Other than that, that's all I had. And I did just get an email this morning from Steve O'Neill, EMA in Cerro Gordo and Franklin.
Okay.
And Cerro Gordo and a couple other counties are doing a regional thing on homelessness and COVID stuff. They'll all join in on a meeting December 3rd or something. So I joined in on that with them. Otherwise, that was about it. A busy day on Tuesday.
Better all one day than.
Yeah,
So
I kind of like it that way, I guess.
Yep. Just block it out.
Anything for the agenda? I don't believe so. Nobody's having.
I'll just let you know if I lock in that training with IMWCA.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's not today.
No.
Okay. And then was there another possible Zoom meeting that we could, on safety? I think you sent us a link on.
I've been sending you the stuff from that Iowa, Illinois
Which?
for safety committee.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if there's charges on that stuff or.
Well, it's something about being a member. So, and I mean, because I went on and then as far as I got, so I didn't. If we're not a member, not going to necessarily pay for it. We work with IMWC then and do that too. But
Yeah.
I just thought, well, if it was something really good, we could set up a Zoom meeting for like the safety committee, say over in EOC or whatever, and listen in if he picks something up. But if there's a huge charge for it, we'll just stick with IMW, stick with that. They got good.
Well, and we are
resources.
members of this now, as far as I know.
Well, if we are, and we can do it for nothing, because it's like if you're a member, it was free, and if a non-member was like $20 or
Yeah,
something.
that's
Not
not
huge.
25. That's
Nothing. But if it's something we could.
Spend more than that driving to Mason City to do
Well,
something.
right, absolutely. So, but we could set up a Zoom meeting over in the EOC and for at least the safety committee or any of the other department heads on which,
Yeah, I
secondary
just-
roads and the sheriff would be the two, major ones, but
Right.
Yeah, I just shoot all these emails to the safety committee and
okay.
keep me out of it.
Do you
No,
need-
that's,
do you need a Zoom meeting set up for that, or?
well, if it's possible and we can do it, it'd be okay. I mean, I would assume that would be set up. All it'd be is clicking on a link.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, all right.
yeah.
I didn't
So, but I don't know how you would set it up. I mean, say we wanted to come in and do it in the EOC, where we're gonna have a safety committee meeting, then we'd have
Let's
to,
face everybody.
we'd have to space it. But I mean, we could do it over there then, or we click on to join it.
Yep, yeah, that's
Whenever
fine.
that comes, if you get us registered, we could work on that.
Well, and your safety person or your EMA could be doing that.
Right, I mean, he
Yeah.
could set it up,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be on safety committee, Gary, so if you could have time, come in, you could come in and listen to, just come in, sit and listen to the Zoom meeting, so. If it's possible, however it works out,
Yeah.
just, because it's not till the 11th or something like that, I think it is. But, you're right, so. Get it set up, just send me an email. Okay,
Just kind of
it looks interesting.
hanging out until
Is there a guy coming
Ryan's
in yet?
going.
I haven't
Nothing yet?
seen anybody join in yet.
I hope he comes soon. We just talked.
So these guys were new, right? Just,
Just as.
okay.
Mhm.
Last year.
What was the name of the company that we had?
Kingston.
Kingston. That's it.
Yeah.
That guy I didn't like.
And he's been bugging me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I
He wants
didn't,
back
I
in.
didn't
No.
care for that fellow.
His
It just-
educational ability was nil.
Well, not only that, you bring us all this stuff, tell us how we can possibly save money by possibly doing this, possibly doing that, and then you're gone.
We asked
And you don't
him,
get a response out of the guy.
I've been on here 4 years, and for the first 2 or 3 or whatever it was, we would say, okay, we kind of picked 2 or 3, bring us back and show us, and we never came back. Next year, come back, give us the same presentation. And it's
You
like,
guys could probably save money if you did this, or
Yeah.
partially
Well, show
self-funded,
it.
or you did
Show
that.
it.
It's like, well, get in here then. You want our business? Well, it probably is he'd make less money, so then he doesn't want us to do
No,
it.
can't do
Oh,
that date.
there's Ryan.
See.
oh,
I'll let him
Oh,
in.
yay.
see, the EOC is booked on the 11th for Board of Health. I don't know what time the meeting was, I guess, but. Which, I guess if I get the links, we can all Zoom from home too, and whatever, and have a meeting
Right.
about it later.
Well, there's a conference room over there too.
Yeah.
How many of you there are?
Mhm.
Can certainly push you over there.
It's pretty small, the one in the Board of Health.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can the Board of Health do theirs in the conference room?
we've been having it in the EOC, so you
Oh.
can distance a little more.
Sure.
And I'm sure
There,
like you'd have to do both, so that would work
Wouldn't
good for
make
you
any
we
anyways.
difference.
could run back and forth.
Ryan, can you hear us this morning?
Yeah, I got you. How
How you
is
doing today?
everybody?
Oh, we're
Great.
doing all right here, I think.
Good. Good. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. Enjoy a little time off.
How it goes, everybody always eats too much.
I just came off the COVID recovery, so I was actually in quarantine through Thanksgiving, so it was a little bit different this year. And while we're all, I guess, makes sense why a lot of us are zooming in today.
Yep, very true.
So, do we have Jackie on too, or I know she set this all up. Is she in with you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
she just hides.
Okay, perfect. Well, I know Jackie had reached out in the last couple of weeks just to talk about knowing that your county was one of only 3 of the 26 within ISAC that is still on the richer, lower deductible options for employees within the ISAC portfolio. So you guys currently have Plan 9, 10, and 11. And most of the counties over the course of time have kind of migrated towards the lower cost 11E, 11C plan options that are both on the Wellmark PPO. That's a match to what you guys have today on 9, 10, and 11. And so if you guys look at the renewal binder that I brought last year, on the second, if you go to the medical tab on the second page, it shows your renewal plans along with option 1, that's plan 11E, and that's the plan that I would recommend if you guys wanted to look at this. And the reason that we're talking right now that Jackie likely reached out to is I had the ISAC board meeting, I guess a week and a half ago, where we renewed the rates for FY 2022, which is actually July 1 of next year. And I'll have some updates for you once we get November runout claims, but I'll actually be able to come up likely in December or early January to do your renewal. But the best time to make a plan change, if you guys wanted to entertain this, would be for January 1st, because that's when everybody's deductibles start over. So these rates for January 1st are what we actually reviewed at your renewal. So if you look at the renewal plan options 9, 10, and 11, you can see most of your employees have enrolled in Plan 11 due to cost share for family. I think that's kind of a driving factor. And then the employees can use the remaining difference to put in a 403B or any other of those vehicles that you guys allow them to spend those dollars. You guys got a significant decrease in premium last year, if you remember that. It actually went down 17.5%. You had the largest decrease of any group that I've ever seen within ISAC for any year. And I can tell you your renewal increase for this next year is not nearly what you saw for a decrease. So it's not like it's going back up 17.5%. I can tell you that right now. The option 1 for Plan 11E, if you guys wanted to do this, and again, we would need to make the change for January 1, and then we would put in a partial self-funded health plan with a TPA, and we've endorsed a couple of TPAs for January 1st that are going to be on Employee Navigator, what Jackie and her team use for enrollments. We can keep every employee's member deductible and out of pocket the same for plans 9, 10, and 11, but we have to have Walmart pay under Plan 11E, and then we have an additional third party pay on behalf of Worth County employees down to essentially their plans 9, 10, and 11 deductibles and out of pockets. So the net cost savings that I show you here at renewal, essentially it was from a negative 17.5 to a negative 26. You guys see that? So it's roughly a $75,000 additional savings. To get this started, however, we're going to have to keep rates as if they were plans 9, 10, and 11, because you guys have to establish a reserve fund within the county to pay for any runout claims should you guys ever want to leave this arrangement. So the savings is not immediate, but you guys are going to accumulate funds that you're going to be able to use to offset future increases, which would impact the employee's cost share, of course. I anticipate it's going to be closer to 100,000 in annual savings for your county. We show 75 to be conservative. But again, that $100,000 on a spend of 800, that's a big percentage, and that's why most counties have done this.
What does this do for the employee?
Yeah, so the employee, when they go to the provider, and if they have a deductible claim, which is going to be an inpatient stay, a surgery, high-cost diagnostic imaging for our plans, an ER visit, the provider is going to run the Walmart card, and they're going to see a $5,000 deductible. That's all they can see. And so there have been cases with our other counties where providers try to charge employees for that $5,000 up front because they want to collect the deductible that the employee owes. What happens 99% of the time, the employee says, look, I have a third-party payer. Wait until insurance pays, which will automatically prompt the third party to pay, and then the employee is only left with their plans 9, 10, or 11 deductible. Again, we have 2,100 employees using the partial self-funding. Our office certainly helps employees throughout the year, but it's not, every claim isn't causing an issue on the employee's end. I would say it's probably 1 to 5 out of 100 times that employees go through this process where they have a deductible claim that we have an issue.
What about with pharmacies?
Say that again, Jackie, or whoever's speaking.
Me, yeah, it's Jackie. How about pharmacies?
So this doesn't affect the pharmacy benefit at all. You can see at the bottom that the pharmacy benefit is identical. It also does not impact any copays. So anything under the pharmacy or physician office visits, the plan is 100% match. So employees just pay the 20% co-insurance deductibles waived for office visits. And then the drug card copays do not change. The out-of-pocket max of $1,000 and $2,000 still applies on Plan 11E. That's what makes this plan so easy to transition to, is typically employees that have deductible events, it's roughly only 10% of your population every year actually has a deductible event. And that's why you guys as a county are going to save $100,000. Because ISAC gives you a significant decrease in premium to buy the higher deductible from them.
So then does this $100,000 pay for anything below the 5,000, or how does that work?
Well, you need to first establish a reserve. That's why I'm telling you guys that I would keep the rates the same as your current plans 9, 10, and 11 for at least a year, so you guys can build that $100,000 reserve. And then you guys can, if you want to, you can start to eat away at those increases that are likely inevitable, which will then keep it less expensive for the employees to buy up to family coverage. Because I think that's the main concern, is the cost share for family. But there's not an immediate savings for the employee, because you have to have a reserve established. If our claims exceed 2% of our general fund, the state of Iowa requires you, the county, to fill out an actuarial opinion. And you have to have certain solvency requirements per the state of Iowa Insurance Division. So there's some other steps that are involved on the administrative side, but we do this with basically every county that we work with. So we're very well versed and can help you through that process. But for the employees' perspective, it's going to be the 10% of employees that actually have deductible events that may, providers may try to charge up front for that $5,000 deductible. You as the county can have employees be reimbursed from the third-party administrator, which sometimes is easier. So the employees would actually get the check between the $5,000. If they were enrolled in Plan 7, they could get the difference in the out-of-pocket maximum of $6,350 in Plan 11. So that's $2,350 in maximum reimbursement that employee could get. But then that employee, they can't go out and buy a big screen with that check that they're receiving. They're going to have that owed to the provider. So there's an additional responsibility placed on the employee when we set them up like that, or else we can have them pay the provider directly. But again, if we pay the provider directly, then sometimes the providers try to charge up front, so it can cause some frustration. I just want to be very open and transparent that it's going to save money, but it does involve some additional layers and steps.
And like what we were talking about, it still doesn't make family, if we want family to be cheaper, they'd still have to give more for family. It's still.
Yeah, I would keep the same rates that you guys, that same rate for Plan 9, 10, and 11 that you guys have listed on the renewal. We'd have to use that total rate to fund the buy down. But after we get your reserve established, and if you have 100 or 150,000 in there, we can then start to buy down some of those increases, because you're not going to need, you're going to be building more of a reserve than you're going to need.
So no matter what, it's going to stay the same for one more year, but there is looking like a light at the end of the tunnel.
I just knowing that you're one of 3 of 26 counties that have not done this, I think all counties will do this at some point. You guys had the luxury of getting a very large decrease last year, and you guys are actually being charged currently. You have the lowest rates of any county for plans 9, 10, and 11. So it makes it's easier for you guys to not do it than other counties that are either at base rate or above base rate. For last year, you guys were actually charged, I think, 71.5% of the base rate that most counties are charged. So because of your claims experience, you guys got a significant discount, and that's why you got a negative decrease at renewal.
Made it up on work comp.
Yeah, definitely.
Very
Yeah,
true.
so as your premiums go up, if you were charged 100% of the base rate, the spread between your current plans and this plan 11E would be even greater, if that makes sense, which would equivalent to more savings.
Okay, I agree. We've got to start somewhere. Obviously, if we want to go partially self-funded, we can't just do it overnight, but we got to start somewhere to be able to bring these costs down is what we're hoping. That is our end goal, I think, is to try to get, if we can, reduce the rates for everybody, but especially the people that take the family stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and the biggest way to change that is really going to be between the county contributions between single and family. You guys as a county have better rates than all 26 other counties in ISAC today. You have the best rate for the plan.
Glad you're saying that in a public meeting because I like to hear that.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
people-
I'm just being honest. When I look at all of the other ISAC counties, we work with 36 total Iowa counties. You guys have some of the lowest rates of any county that we work with.
Mhm.
Well, and if we change gears, is that gonna affect that?
Say that again, Jackie?
Change gears, or is that gonna affect our premiums?
You're not going to change your renewal year. It's still going to be on a July 1. We just need to make a plan change on January 1 because that's when Walmart's deductibles start over. It just makes it much easier to transition to this type of arrangement on a January 1st. So this is something we can also do for January 1 of 2022. Your renewal is not bad. I know that. I'll be able to give you that information very soon, but again, it's not near the decrease that you took last year.
But if we started
The overall ISAC base rates are not changing for FY 2022. So everybody's base rate is staying the same. It's just based on your last 3 years of experience, how that puts you from the base rate to your group specific rate. And again, your experience is still very favorable. The ISAC dividend this current year was 6% because they had such a financially favorable year before renewal last year. That dividend's going from 6% down to 3%. So that does then effectively increase your premiums because you got a 6% dividend for this current fiscal year. And they're still giving you a dividend. It's just not as much of a dividend for this FY 2022.
Has there been an indication of what COVID is gonna do to the next year? Is it really gonna mess things up?
Yeah, as ISAC is self-funded, so we got the financial savings for this current year because of the elective procedures not happening. We're coming off back-to-back years of very favorable claims experience, and that's why the ISAC base rate is not changing. I really do not see COVID being a major impact on our health plan. Had you been a fully insured health plan with Walmart, then Walmart would have had the savings, and they are giving increases to their fully insured counties and public or private companies. We've had some very large renewals for January 1st outside of ISAC. So being part of the trust and then having that association being self-insured has been it's been very financially beneficial.
So would everybody get new cards by January 1? So there's no, so the transition's okay?
Yeah, everybody would. I don't even know if we'd get new cards. They may program it on the back end. I'd have to confirm that with my account management team because the copays and the pharmacy would not change. It would just be the deductible. You may or may not get cards. I'd have to confirm that. But if you did need new cards, we just roll everybody over. So it wouldn't be an actual open enrollment. It would just be a rollover to the new plan. Your open enrollment would still be in April for July 1.
So the transition would be it would be easy as far as.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's easy because this is a change in the employee's perspective, and so anytime you make a change, it's going to create some confusion and some question. But doing it on a January 1 is absolutely the best time to do it. There will be some issues throughout the year, and especially as you guys do it for the first time, but employees will get used to it. I mean, they have for the other 23 counties.
Well, just what I'm looking at is we don't need to have all of our employees come in and redo all their paperwork at this time. That'll all go in April or whatever.
We're just going to roll it out. We'll roll it all over, and then we'll certainly put together something that we can hand out to employees, just notifying them of the change so they know what to expect. But your annual open enrollment will still be for a July 1. So it will be as seamless as it can be, but undoubtedly it will still create some questions and confusion because it's something different. But again, the net savings to the county will be between $75,000 and $100,000. And I would say it's going to be closer to $100,000. And that's every year you're going to save that.
And that starts building up that account.
That will start building up that reserve. Yep. And based on your claims experience, it's so favorable over the last 3 years that we know we have very few employees actually having deductible events.
Yeah, to me, I mean, that's a significant amount of savings.
And it's still giving the employees the same deductible and out of pocket. Albeit we just get to that deductible and out of pocket a little bit differently, where we have 2 people paying on behalf of any given member for a deductible claim.
What's the time frame on this?
You know, we would want to make a decision fairly soon. When's the next time you guys have a meeting?
It's every Monday.
It is every week. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you guys wanted to think it over this week and make a decision at next week's board meeting, we would still have time. Again, I'll confirm if we even need new cards. If we don't need new cards, that'll make it even that much easier.
And I think having that third party pay it versus relying on the employee to pay it and then reimburse or whatever, it'd be better off just to pay the insurance company direct and keep the.
Yeah, we can have that third party pay the provider directly. Yeah. Sometimes it's, you know, if an employee's enrolled in Plan 9, they could have almost a $5,000 check. That's a lot of money. And again, they need to make sure that they pay the provider with that money. It's just going to come to them as a check, so they can do whatever they want with that money.
So I'm still trying to grasp this. So the difference between the 2,000, if we go with Plan 11, if somebody goes with Plan 11, the difference between 2,000 and 5,000 is being paid by this fund?
Correct. Yep. So everybody will, if you guys elect to do this, everybody will be enrolled in Plan 11E. And then the third-party administrator will reimburse the difference between the out-of-pocket maximum on Plan 11E and any of the 3 plans that you guys offer, along with the deductible. So everybody's deductible and out-of-pocket will remain the same. We'll just have to have an additional third-party make payments on behalf of your members.
So that can all get done plus pay the third party and have a balance left? It just sounds magical.
Yep, because it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. You'll just continue to pay yourself the same premiums. You'll basically pay yourselves into a health insurance fund. Out of the health insurance fund, you'll pay your ISAC premiums, and then you'll pay the claims that the third party is making on your behalf. But if you pay in based on the plan next year and at renewal, by the end of this next year, you're going to have between 100 and 150,000 in your reserve. So essentially, you'll basically start with like an 18-month, because you're going to come in on January 1, and then you'll renew right away in July with updated rates, but then that will run through June of the following year. by June of the following year, that's when you're going to see roughly 100, at least 100,000. I would probably guess 150,000 in that reserve fund.
Could they decide this when they get the numbers for this next plan year so that you can do that illustration and they can have a better picture of it?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure your increase is 8%. I just have to get the December or the November updates that I should have. They usually come between the 5th and 6th of the month. So I'm not sure I'll have them by next Friday or next Monday or not. I should, but it's no guarantee. If nothing changes on that report, it's going to be an 8% increase in premium.
So if we kept things where they're at right now, that would help us start building that fund.
Yeah, we would use the rates that are reflected under your renewal plan today. So you would keep the same rates that you're using and paying ISAC. And then July 1, you would take the 8% increase on those plans, and that would then continue, but you're only going to pay the Plan 11E premiums, and that's what's going to build the reserve. So you're going to want to take the increase in the rates for July 1st. And then when you renew for FY 2023, or in a year and a half, that's when you can start to buy down the increases with what you've accumulated in your fund. But you need to take the increase on the actual 3 plans that you offer for July 1 of this following year. You can't not take that increase because you have to build that reserve fund up.
So right now, we're giving every employee $500 or $928. We'll want to go 8% more than that for July 1.
So you wouldn't have to, but that's what
We kept it the same, I thought.
Yeah, I think even when they went down this last year, I think you guys you kept that allowance the same, which then of course brought down the employees' cost to buy up. But if you guys gave the increase to the employees, that would further reduce their costs. And I think that's the biggest frustration, is the employees trying to buy up to family. That your county versus others, it's probably on the higher end where they have to pay more of that buy up cost when we compare them to other counties across Iowa. Your overall premiums are the most competitive within ISAC, but the employee-employer cost share is specific to each county.
But the other counties are giving more
towards family.
than a single.
I would say that's the overall consensus, yes. There's nothing consistent about cost share, but what we typically see a lot of the time is 80, but it could be 80-20 across the board where you guys pay 100% a single. That's not always the case with every county. Well, they'll do a set percentage for both single and family. But we just, there's another county that just came into ISAC for January 1st, and they do something very similar to you guys, where they charge, the employees pay 50% of the difference between single and family. So whatever that total premium difference between single and family is, the county pays half, the employee pays half. So there's certainly other counties out there that require their members to pay more for family. And I don't think that's a bad thing to do. It's just trying to find that fine line between how much does a county want to pay to having the employee pay.
A lot of numbers. A lot of numbers.
I've already seen these numbers, so
was gonna say.
I've been down this road.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, give us the week to think about it.
Yeah, I'll find out if we need new ID cards. I can get that answer quickly, and then I'll shoot that over to Jackie so you guys know that. And then just let me know if you guys have any questions for next week's meeting. If I confirm the renewal rates, I'll get those over to Jackie as well, that the 8% stands. But I'm 99.9% sure it will. It would take a very large claim to pay here over the next week.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
Nope. Makes sense.
I had sent you one other email about people that can get a better, less or more reasonable insurance with their spouse, or, just going through a different, like we have
Sure.
somebody that's on a federal plan instead of county government.
Yep.
Is there something, because right now those people are still taking a single because then they'll get the annuity. Is there anything that we can offer for those people that would work into this?
What I would recommend to fix that problem, if they have, right now, since you pay 100% of single, basically every employee is forced to enroll. It's almost like an auto enrollment. I would make a slight cost share for single that would then, if that employee has another option available elsewhere, they can at least take that option. Right now, they're just forced to enroll. If you guys do an opt-out incentive, there are groups that do that, but I would not do the incentive amount between what you allow on a monthly basis and that single premium. Some employees may take that and then not have insurance at all. I think that would really open up Pandora's box for adverse selection. A lot of employees could waive coverage. I would not recommend an opt-out incentive of that amount of money. Typically, we see like $100 to $150 if someone elects to not take the health plan.
I know when I really dug into this 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I think the percentage was like 35% who did single because they didn't have to pay. So if you think 35% of
Right.
employees are taking that even though they have insurance, so that you're talking, I think I figured out over 10 years it was like $500,000.
Mhm.
35% of your employees have coverage. That's a huge percentage. Wow.
That's a huge percentage. Because it's free. I mean, if something's free, you're gonna take it.
And I agree, and I've mentioned that before, if there was an opt-out program for, it wouldn't be the 900, but like if it was 300, we give you $300 you can put into the same type of IRA or annuity to not take our insurance.
What you have to do as an employer, the government created some opt-out provision requirements. The employer has to verify and certify that the employee and any members that they claim on their tax return have credible coverage. If you do not do that, that opt-out then is treated as cost share for the employee, and then the employer can be taxed if that individual goes to the individual marketplace, doesn't understand the enrollment instructions, and gets a federal subsidy, which is easy to do. You click one box that says my employer didn't offer affordable coverage, then they can get free insurance. Then it comes back to you, the employer, as a tax penalty. That's what I don't want to have happen.
Gotcha. But we can.
What I would do, the way to fix this, in my opinion, is to create a cost share. Maybe we realign your cost share for single and family, where you make the employees pay a small percentage for single. And then if you have somebody in that situation, they're just going to just waive coverage and take the other option that they have. That's what I would do.
Again.
Right.
Everybody's in.
And that would help us build too, is.
That would also help you then if you wanted to give a stronger cost share to family. If you have singles that, and my guess is if you took that survey a few years ago, that 35% is going to be less today. More and more employers are basically making less of a contribution to anything other than single as premiums continue to go up, especially in the private sector. If their spouses work for another municipality, then that may be different. But we're finding more and more employees are taking their health plan through their employer because there's not as many available options elsewhere. Again, it may be different for your employee population, but I think the easy fix for you guys is just to make a small employee-only contribution.
I'll be honest, I'm one of them. I could stay on Mark's one. I could go. I could
Me
stay.
too, I'm on it, my husband, I mean, you look
I
so
could be
healthy in
on. I could be on
here.
my wife's policy.
I could be too.
I was before I came here, but when I got free,
I'd
why?
rather,
It saved us $200 a month.
But if we have more
That's
people
just
out
what I
of
just wanted
ours,
back.
what does that do to our premiums and
That's-
stuff?
Yeah, so that certainly will potentially affect the 3-year loss ratios and could affect your premiums. That's a total unknown. That's why I wouldn't do a huge incentive to opt out. I would either do a very small incentive, but remember administratively, you need to track all of that annually. or just do a 5% contribution to the employee-only premium, or 10%, or whatever percentage you guys want to create, and then potentially give that to additional family contribution.
Could you go to an employee and spouse level and not just single to family?
With ISAC right now, they only offer 2-tier rates. That's been of continued conversation. But at this point, they've only elected to offer 2-tier premiums. Good question.
Kind of like saying you either got old people or you don't have, you know,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
there's a whole different segment of people out there that's not getting.
If we get rid of that single coverage, though, will that hurt our recruiting of employees?
No, we're not getting rid of it, Dan.
No,
We're just leaving an option there that if your spouse has a, you know, just as good or better insurance somewhere else, you could stay on that plan.
No, but he wants single to pay a percentage.
yeah,
That's just how
Very few
things are
places
now.
don't make single pay.
I mean, it's unheard of to not pay anything for health insurance.
Not
typically
completely
for
unheard of, but
single.
the biggest percentage of the people have to, you've got some skin in the game.
Yeah, I really think if you guys re-looked at your premiums and instead of a flat amount, if you could look at some type of percentage for single and family, and it doesn't have to be the same, but if you did 90-10 for single, even based on your richest plan, that's $756. 10% $75, which is still significantly less than most employers charge for employee only.
It's still cheap, yep.
And then you could potentially increase your cost share via a percentage to your family if you wanted to look at that. If you guys really do see a lot of employees drop coverage because of having coverage available elsewhere.
Okay, counties that switched to this, did they get any input for from their employees, or did they just go by what the board decided?
Switching the cost share or switching the plan design?
Either one.
Technically, that's our job.
That is your job.
Typically, what we see, most counties, the Board of Supervisors would make those decisions, certainly with input from the auditor's office. There's only a few counties where it's an insurance committee that really makes the decision.
Even when you're making a major decision like this?
The more opinions you get involved, typically it becomes more challenging to ever come to a final determination of what you guys elect to go with. That's typically why we see the board make those decisions.
You're bringing in emotions instead of business.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
The way it is.
Maybe even it's just 5% a single. Just having some in contribution from the employee for single only coverage, I think makes a ton of sense.
What about if you have a union?
Then certainly that would, I think that's going to be between the board and the union. They did take out with some of the unions collective bargaining power for benefits. I know that doesn't apply to all union contracts, but it does apply to some.
That would be a Renee question.
Right.
Yep.
Law enforcement, it does not apply.
Well, and the other thing is we just got a whole bunch of people hooked up on Voya, and it was hard to even get some people to fill out the paperwork when they were getting free money. And now it's going to go away again, and we're going to have all this stuff hanging.
Well,
I would probably take baby steps into this and maybe look at like a 5, maybe max 10% employee only contribution. I wouldn't charge them much, but I think something makes sense.
So then what do I put into a budget for every department? This $928 was easy to figure out. I don't know what.
Yeah, because everybody's going to be enrolled. It'll be somewhat of an unknown until, you wouldn't want to make any of these changes until July 1, on the cost share. The only change for January would be the actual health plan.
We'll be budgeting for that now.
Yep.
Or in the next month or two.
you should be able to leave the same figure in there.
If anything, you'll come in under.
technically, if we dropped 17% last year, let's say figure, and if we come up 8% this year, we're still 11 from 2 years ago. So, I mean, if you left it alone, we should be,
okay.
that's an 11% buffer in there. If it stays
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah,
Am I right, Ryan? Looking at
I
it
would
that
agree.
way?
I would agree with that. You know, if you charge something for employee only, you may actually lose some employee only contracts, which would maybe even, who knows? That's a total unknown.
Got it. I mean, you're only talking 5 or 10%. I mean, we just made the example, both our wives work at the same place, and, you know, it's way more than that they're paying.
That's the first time I've
I
never
mean, and
had
it's
to pay
still
anything.
really
I know,
reasonable.
me too.
It's really reasonable insurance. I mean, what we were being
Right.
charged. And it's virtually the same policies we have
I
here.
mean, if it was 10%, I'd still stay on it because it's still benefit, you know, but at least.
It's pretty good insurance. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
Especially
Darn good
if the
insurance.
annuity contribution
Yeah.
stays the same.
Yeah, you guys have, you know, gold equivalent type plans in the marketplace. They are very rich in today's market.
Well, the annuity will go away. Right?
would the annuity stay, Ryan, or would it?
You know, that would be your decision. You could certainly just make, you know, a set amount that you could give each month to an annuity. You would have to recalculate how you guys do your contributions because it's not just a flat amount, it's more of a percentage based. So you'd have a percentage based amount for insurance, and then the annuity would really have to be something totally separate. Because right now it's all lumped together because they just get a set amount each month.
Because that money's gonna have to go to the third party provider.
Well,
Right?
you guys are still giving above and beyond what you guys give 900 and the old
That was
plan.
just fluke because I figured that the change would be drastic enough that we wouldn't want to shock them this year. I just asked that they keep it the same.
Yeah, and so they're still going to have money left over because the increase is not as, to AJ's point, it's not nearly what the decrease was. I think it'll be difficult to try to determine a cost share by next Monday. I would really try to focus on the health plan decision first, and then you guys have some time to make the cost share decisions. And I think certainly if you want to involve other employees internally with your discussions there, and as you guys think about a budget, but I do not think it's going to cost you more than what you guys have in the budget. It's probably going to be less. But you guys
Premiums wouldn't change until July 1 then?
Correct. Yeah, the premiums that are listed here are in effect until July. But if you go to a percentage-based method, if you guys want to do an additional contribution to a pre-tax account, that needs to be separate from the benefits, which today it's all combined because it's a lump sum. But that would have to be a totally separate conversation.
So yeah, change the plan now. Everything else would basically
Stays.
reflect July 1st. We'd go to either the contribution, and then we'd have 6 months to figure that out.
Yeah, at least, yeah. It's either way, it's going to be below your budget. That's due, I think, at the end of March or end of February. But you guys have certainly more time to talk about cost share. Than the only decision you guys need to make in short order is just the plan decision.
Yeah. Okay.
I think long-term it's gonna be a good deal. It's
Yeah.
Just getting through your questions, Jackie, I think.
Yep.
Long-term will be a good deal.
Well, send it
And I
calls
get-
to you guys.
You're I know, you're the one.
I'll take them.
Yeah, it will. Again, it's going to create some confusion, some questions, but it's not going to be an overwhelming amount of members or employees that are going to go through this. It's only people with deductible events. So if you just go and you see your primary care physician once a month or semi-monthly, they're never going to be affected by this. Or if they just take pharmacy, prescription drugs, they will see no difference.
All right. Any other? I'm sure there's millions more questions, but as for now, Ryan, are you available to talk with us next week then too?
Yeah, let me take a look.
Roughly same time, same place,
Well,
same channel.
Monday the 7th. Yep, I can be available. And I'll find out if I can confirm the rates for renewal. By that point, I'll do that, and then I'll find out if we need new ID cards.
Very nice.
Yeah, we got a public hearing at 9 o'clock for revitalization.
Probably do it.
9:15, 9:30.
Yeah, 9:15, 9:30 work for you?
Yep.
You
Yep.
you can jump on at any time around then, and then we'll just holler at you when we're ready. How's that sound?
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay. We'll plan on that, and maybe we'll have an answer for you. Maybe we'll have more questions first, and then an answer after that. But
Well,
yeah,
my personal feeling is I like to see counties take advantage of cost saving opportunities. Again, that's why most counties have done this. You guys will save money, and over 10 years, it's $1 million.
well, in a budget that's as tight as ours is, anyways, and we're looking to maybe do some trimming. That's a good place to start. So
Yep, I agree. All right, I'll talk to you guys next week, and I'll get back with you with any follow-up in the meantime.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Ryan.
We'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 million questions, but seems like the plan wise is the proper way to go, to me.
I think it is.
The other adjustments we need to make, we got 6 months to figure that out. Obviously, we got budgeted for it, but I think leaving our budget alone on it, we should be plenty covered by approximately 11%. You know,
the figures he was giving out was what I was seeing as well.
or 9%. I'm sorry, 9%. So, and then yeah, we just need to look into, you know, the other end, the cost sharing. Like I say, I'm one of them. Mark's the other one of them. I mean, it's just, you know, I didn't have a problem. Mercy's got pretty good insurance.
Yep.
But it saved me $200 a month. Saved my family $200 a month to come here and take it for free. So it was a no-brainer for me. I mean, so. Okay. Anything else? Everybody's mind's just like see it. See it 50 years. Just a roll.
Becky's got more problems.
So,
And we get it. It's like,
yeah.
You know, people got to look at overall and look at the change, and it's really it's not that mind-numbing.
But we're not hiring a family. We're hiring
Right.
one person.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
But still, when you get something free, you gotta have skin in the game. I mean,
Yeah.
things have changed, times have changed.
I mean, like I say, husband and wife policy, it's going to basically, I think it was $200 a month. Like you said, that's what it's going to cost for me to go back on my wife's policy.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at that, and that's damn cheap insurance, because I've been in the open marketplace.
Yeah.
It's not
I
good.
mean, right now, if I was still, or our family was in the marketplace, we'd be looking at probably somewhere between 20 and 30 grand,
Mhm.
depending on how high a deductible plan we wanted to go to. And
Yeah, and at that, you're still probably looking at $10,000 enough.
at least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
From what I've been reading a lot on that, you know, and it's,
Yep.
so I think, I mean, I agree, we're not hiring a family, but even, you know, I look at the contribution of the family here, and it's not terrible. It could be a little better, but, you know, I mean, I get it, but, you know,
But if they shopped it,
if they shopped
Right.
it,
Yeah.
it would be a lot worse. I mean, so you
My
get in
thought
a group
is-
plan.
At the end of the day, save the county money, and if we can pass some of that on to the employees, you know, all the employees. That's the thing is, when I brought up with ISAC's legal counsel, Christie, I brought up the opt-out thing. Can we just pay them a certain amount to opt out? You know, if we pay you $300 a month and it saves us, you know, and we're paying them $940, we're getting $600 a month saving. You do that times 10 people, it's easy to add up. She said, you know, it can be done, but you just gotta make sure you offer the same thing to everyone. You can't be, well, of course you would. It would just be across the board.
And sometimes the other employee does, you know, if it's offered to me, you're forced to take that policy. They want you to take it. They don't, you know,
Right.
can't stay on your spouses if it's offered somewhere else, especially like a husband and wife deal. You know, family deal might be a little different, you know. Then I think you have the option of which plan is better.
Right. But in which that we can look at 6 months down the road. We have 6 months to prepare for that.
Yeah, things might not change at all, but at least you got
Right.
time to.
We got time to think about it. We don't have to get pushed into doing that, so. And the self-funding, partial self-funding thing's been a discussion since I've been here and before I was
Since I got
here,
here,
so.
It was one of the plans that was presented, but was never come back with actual figures, so it's not that we haven't been looking at it, but
Right.
nobody ever gave us any direction at all. There's some direction.
You got the bait thrown in front of you, but then that's all the further it ever went with Kingston, so.
And I will say Ryan's group has saved ISAC quite a bit of money over what Kingston was doing too, so. A lot of positive changes coming out.
Okay. Well, if nothing else for now. Take a motion to adjourn.
So much.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.